The theme for Photon World this year is really Tomorrow Makers, which is a toast to folks like you who are actually making tomorrow happen today. There's no tech conference today where Gen AI is not the buzzword, right? It's the hottest buzzword in the industry. Everybody's talking about it. We'll try in some ways to demystify it in terms of what this actually stands for, how to actually embrace it, and what it can and cannot do. What we call the fourth generation of AI is really generative AI, which is being able to craft similar to what, and broadly we saw it coming, yes. It was kind of a natural progression towards actually being able to craft content using AI and a large language model as it stands right now. And a large language model, for those of you who haven't gone through the tech background of it, is really is the number of tokens, which is number of words that you train the model on. GPT-4 is 4 billion-ish tokens, and the number of parameters, which is predicting the next word, and therefore being able to produce a reasonable sense of content. That's really where we are. We're in the early stages. We've got one, obviously, implementation, which has been all the rage with ChatGPT. But really, it's where does it go from here? DALL-E, OpenAI, we'll talk about those. It's not going to take away our jobs. We don't see it necessarily that way. But in terms of what we're seeing, use cases. So broadly, it's a 50-50 split. So that's 50% which are kind of industry specific, 50% that are actually cross-industry. Things like customer service, things like marketing, being able to generate different forms of emails, generate different blog posts. These are actually cross-industry from a marketing, customer service, customer support perspective. However, some which are very, very specific. You take customer sentiment analytics, that's actually cross-industry. But in retail, generating product description from just an image. I would say it's clearly in experiment and invest as of this moment. It's there. The platform's available on Azure. OpenAI on Azure is available. There are obviously that you can try Bard on Google. I would say OpenAI is possibly the first mover, but this is an emerging space, and I do believe that this will become operational in the near term. Caveat: we said this about blockchain a few years ago. Large language models and beyond are great. Government regulation of AI is almost inevitable. Web3 and metaverse, the fun topic from 8 months ago now, right? So this is actually a combination of two different trends. There's one, which is Web3, which is decentralized internet, and Web3 backed by some form of crypto. And there is currently called spatial computing, thanks to Apple, but augmented virtual and mixed reality. So it's really, when people talk about the metaverse, they're actually talking about the confluence of two different topics actually coming together. And I always demystify that because Web3 is a take on the next generation of Web2, which is social content. Web3 is getting more people onto a decentralized platform by incentivizing them. I do believe that two trends that will actually make this happen. One, I'm an Apple fanboy. I built the business on the back of the iPhone, right? So clearly, I do believe in Apple's ability to change consumer behavior. So that is obviously they've proven this multiple times. Vision Pro, I do believe it will provide you an avenue which actually is a fundamental change. The Apple Vision Pro, we do believe, will bring that to the Atari moment, which is bringing your video games home and actually making that a reality. So we believe it's definitely in the experiment phase, also because there is a little bit of a gestation period in terms of listening, and we believe it will also move to operationalize in the 12 to 18 month time frame. Vision Pro launches somewhere in the first half of next year. We do believe that the eventual end game, and I've said this in a few Photon Worlds before, is putting the data back in the hands of your end users, with them actually treating it like their bank account, so that they put their faith in you, give you their data, but they can actually take it away from you, like a bank at any point in time. That will take, we believe, a little bit more time in terms of actually to get there, in terms of having that decentralized platform to actually be able to do that at scale, at a global scale. But I do believe that will come. The journey, we do think you have to start experimenting and investing today. And you will have to start getting to within the next 12 to 18 months, moving it to kind of starting to optimize your entire marketing spend, assuming that you actually have you will have no access or limited access to third-party data. So OpenAI ChatGPT, currently obviously the hot topic. We talk about Gen AI conceptually, we'll talk about kind of what it means from this thing. So for us, we believe it's a natural progression for us to leverage, as I showed you in a few videos, a natural progression to start leveraging and incorporating into our day-to-day work. OpenAI, ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, and DALL-E. We're invested in it. A lot of people ask me this question: do you have a Gen AI task force or a SWAT team? Nope. We believe that it's actually applicable to every single employee of ours. So prompt engineering is the industry term for it today. So we are strongly in an operationalized phase. And for those of you who are tech leaders, our recommendation is to start operationalizing this, from a tech and digital product engineering standpoint. And I do believe this will become an institutional part of every single organization to actually adopt and extend these use cases over the course of the next 12 to 18 months. I do believe there's a lot of interest, but possibly in the earlier phase is really institutionalizing data-driven decision-making from an organization standpoint. And that's where I would say becoming a data-driven organization is at. Next 12 to 18 months, I would say, would be optimize and extend, primarily driven by AI and the desire for these AI-enabled use cases. We've been onto the cloud for possibly 7-8 years right now. But it's not a question of whether and yes, in some cases banks is more private or hybrid cloud than others, so there's industry discrepancy. However, there is cloud and SaaS have caused a few issues that we see. One is overspend on the cloud when compared to your traditional colo. See it in other places, which is kind of dramatically underutilizing your actual your infra on the cloud, and therefore overspend. And difference in licensing costs between your traditional and others. So the big driver was actually the agility to moving to infrastructure as code, and therefore being able to do this much more effectively. And sometimes that doesn't pan out. I do believe that right now it's possibly in the optimized phase for most folks. I would say it'll go into rationalizing over the course, because people have all mostly committed to X amount of cloud spend, therefore actually clawed back Y amount of dollars to actually do it. MarTech has actually been through, so it's kind of still a super fast evolving space, and it's been a pretty big driver for us. I would say the big drivers in the MarTech space and why the briefs are actually becoming clearer are customer data, real-time access to customer data. That is, we talked about in the context of consumer data and this thing. So classical campaigns giving way to personalized campaigns, we believe is a big driver. Customer CDP has become an industry standard term. I would say it possibly started last Photon World-ish, and now it's become a fairly with segment leading the pack right now. And interest around consumer loyalty. For several of our clients, and QSR, quick service restaurants, are possibly our fastest growing vertical. We see a ton of traction around loyalty programs and redesigned loyalty programs. I would say those are possibly the drivers, and you take one step further, you start talking about things like subscription services, new propositions that actually demand a whole new way of thinking about your MarTech stack. So I would say this is now, it's between an invest and operationalize, and I would say it's institutionalizing technology in the marketing organization I think is an absolute essential component in the next 12 to 18 months. So we believe that actually there is kind of like a positive spiral, which is that like digital is not done. So I don't believe the innovation is actually done. I think Apple and Google continue to innovate from like an iOS and Android standpoint. So I do believe that the propositions from a digital standpoint will continue to grow. Maybe not as rapidly as the early days of the mobile app era. However, we do believe that like the innovation never actually like stalls.
I'm here to talk about the future. What I feel like what the AI can do actually, like is a true like a digital concierge. We've been talking about this actually for a while. Like there's a concept of super app that everyone talk, hey, one app that can do everything. If I like what they present, I think the next changes in mobile app is about refining. It's not about scrolling anymore. Now, on all this, you can create numerous things. You can create, like I said, like purification. Then every application compete for your attention. So in the first one, TripAdvisor might win. In the second one, Airbnb might win. On the third one, you ask for your itinerary, Expedia might win because like this fits with the fact that I have a child. This fits with the fact I really normally like to like go to the airport after my checkout time. So like he might win that battle, right? But every other day, the point, you get like what you need contextually, right? Every application competes for your attentions. All this, the front end, how it looks like, cater to you. The privacy, you control it. The context, you control it. And I think this will be like a key for the future of digital.
You think of marketing like the oxygen in this age. So it's going to be infused everywhere. You've got that quantum ecosystem the CMO has to orchestrate. I've got 11,000 vendors. If everything is working fine, nobody will even know we exist. It's all existed and embedded in.